Bulletcast for life.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon Tanguma, and on today's episode we're going to be going over the G1 Climax blocks. Who is in, who is out, what are the matches I am looking most forward to, as well as the first night of the G1 Climax show in Dallas, Texas, as well as Jon Moxley not making an appearance and maybe reasons why that might happen. Also, we have NXT to talk about, but let's talk about some Impact news. Not really, we don't really talk a whole lot about Impact on the show. It is getting better from what I have heard, but one of their biggest stars has been released from her contract, and that is Scarlett Bordeaux, the Smoke Show. She was kind of vocal, I believe, in the past few weeks that she is looking to get her release from Impact, and it was tweeted out today from the Impact Wrestling Twitter account that Impact has confirmed that it has released Scarlett Bordeaux from her commitments to Impact. We wish her every success in her future endeavors. And that was tweeted out at 7 o'clock a.m., I believe Pacific time. I don't know. I'm looking on the website, and it doesn't really. Who really cares when it was tweeted out? But Scarlett Bordeaux being released from her contract, pretty big news. Don't know the exact ins and outs of why she wanted to get released from Impact, but that's a pretty big name just floating out there. What is she going to do? She's been hitting the indie scene. She's in AAA. She possibly could go to All Elite Wrestling. I don't really see her as being a fit for WWE. Yes, she's the Smoke Show. Sure, her character is, very sexual, and WWE is kind of walking away from that. And maybe even during the PG Divas era, it wouldn't be that much sexualized as much as, that's kind of more of an Attitude Era, Sable, Sunny type gimmick. But it's not just, her gimmick is not just, she's hot and she wiggles her ass and stuff. She could wrestle. She definitely, I think she's a better wrestler than what a lot of people might give her credit for, just because they see her appearance and they just think, okay, she's just a gimmick who, shakes her ass and shows her tits off. But I think she's a pretty good wrestler. I think she has a great character work. She could be a good babyface or a good heel. I think she would be a good fit with All Elite Wrestling. I keep saying that they really need to, if they're going to make this women's division, legitimate, maybe Scarlett's not going to be the top tier contender, someone who's going to lead the division and, put on 5-star classics by any means, but I think she's just another good piece that they can put in that company to continue to build up that division. I mean, Britt Baker, I think, is by far, the top person in the women's division, followed by Kylie, Nyla Rose. The people in that Fatal 4-Way match obviously are going to be in the mix. Who knows what they're going to do with Brandy? Is she going to be a legitimate contender? Is she just going to kind of be like a brand ambassador like Stephanie McMahon? Or is she going to be like Shane McMahon, where she does both and she wins all of her matches? But I think you get Scarlett Bordeaux thrown in there. You maybe get Tenille Dashwood, formerly known as Emma, thrown in there. Maybe you get Sasha Banks or some other WWE wrestlers who are disgruntled and are able to get out of the contract. But her boyfriend, they don't think they're married. She is in a relationship with Killer Kross. I'm very high on Killer Kross. I think he could be very, very valuable to any wrestling company out there. I think Impact should hold on to him if he wants to stay there. Good for him, but for me, I think he might be like a perfect fit for WWE, just because I think he's like that perfect mix of having indie cred, having the look that Vince wants, so he can be successful in NXT, but he's also going to have the look to go up and be successful in WWE. Yes, we thought EC3 was going to be that person who had the cred that he got from Impact, but then he goes to NXT, or he goes to WWE, and he's playing dead and being made fun of by the New Day and Seth Rollins. So who exactly knows what Killer Kross's future is with Impact Wrestling? He also, with Scarlett, is working over down in Mexico, and just going to be a fun summer to see all the different moving parts. Anybody else gets out of the contract, first thing everyone's going to talk about is going to AEW. We're going to have to stay tuned and find out about that. So let's move on over to New Japan. They announced on Sunday the participants in the G1 Climax 29, and we're just going to go over it real quick. In Block A, absolutely stacked. I think this is definitely the bigger block. A lot of big names in this one. We have Okada, Zack Sabre Jr., Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, Evil, Sonata, Bad Luck Fale, Lance Archer, Will Osprey, and Kenta. Obviously, Kenta, formerly known as Hideo Itami, first time ever wrestling in New Japan. A Noah legend. Going to be amazing to see what kind of matches he puts on. He was injury prone down at NXT. Is that his body breaking down? Is he going to be able to pull off some of these matches? But looking at Block A, obviously, all these matches, I've been super high on Will Ospreay these past few weeks, and just any match with him. I mean, Will Ospreay versus Kenta, Kota Ibushi, Kazuchika Okada, especially that match with Okada. It's going to be very interesting to see what this kind of story they tell there, with Will Ospreay being the junior champ and Okada being the heavyweight champ. Do they put the junior champ over the heavyweight champ? I don't see that happening. I would see Will probably giving Okada, everything he can handle, but I think Okada is going to end up getting the better of Ospreay in the end. They're going to have, and they are Chaos stablemates, so there's also that kind of wrinkle thrown in there. Is they're going to be Ospreay trying to take over Chaos. Okada's been there forever. Who exactly knows what's going to happen there? But obviously, Kenta. There's just every single match on. Every single person on here can have a good match. Obviously, I think Bad Luck Fale and Lance Archer are going to be the two guys at the bottom of the card. Gonna maybe not give the guys the day off, but definitely going to be those guys who aren't going to have pressure put on them to have a stellar match. I don't think any of these guys, I don't think either one of these two guys are going to be in a main event match when their block is wrestling, but Lance Archer, a good wrestler, should be fun to see if he can do anything. Evil and Sonata in the same block. I think this is the first time since 2017 we've seen them together in the same block. Evil kind of showing some dissension, or maybe trying to just be on his own right now because it is the G1 season. He doesn't want to be all buddy-buddy with everybody, with especially Sonata, who he's going to have to wrestle. I believe Sonata got the better of him in that first encounter, so maybe Evil gets his win back and going to go forward. Obviously, with Kazuchika Okada being the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, usually what happens here, if he's not going to win the whole thing, which I don't think has ever really happened, but usually, someone's going to get a big win over Okada, and that's going to set up the heavyweight title match going into the fall. Obviously, Evil did that a few years ago. Zack Sabre Jr., I believe, beat him, maybe not in the G1, but he beat him the New Japan Cup. So, usually the Okada's next challenger comes out of the G1 Climax. Last year was Jay White. Jay White obviously had that big start where he beat Okada and Tanahashi. And moving on, speaking of Jay White, going on to Block B, we have Tetsuya Naito leading the charge there. Tomohiro Ishii, Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, Hiroki Goto, Jay White, Jeff Cobb, Shingo Takagi, Taichi, and Jon Moxley rounding out the group. Maybe not the biggest names in Block B, but I think this block could produce some stellar matches as well. Jon Moxley in here, his first real big run outside of WWE, going to see what he can do in the ring. I think obviously everyone's going to be looking forward to that Jon Moxley Tetsuya Naito match, just seeing what they can do. Is it going to be kind of a character match? Is it going to be some light comedy thrown in there? Is it going to be, just serious and just balls to the wall, just go after it? And it's also going to be interesting to see. I have the schedule, but it's going to be kind of hard to kind of find every single match. So as I say that, I just found it on July 28th. We have Naito going up against Jon Moxley. So kind of in the middle of the schedule, so not going to be a match that it's obviously going to have implications on there, because I assume they're going to keep Moxley strong, being the U.S. champion. He's going to obviously win more matches than I think he loses. I don't think he's going to be there. Maybe he'll be there at the very end, but I just don't see Moxley being the guy to come out of that B block. Yano, he's always kind of there. He's going to give those comedy matches. I think a Yano versus Moxley match, as much as we kind of poo-poo on what Dean Ambrose did back in WWE, all the comedy stuff. He's a funny guy. I think if Yano is going to get something out of Moxley, it's going to be hilarious. Kenny Omega, he usually gets like a fun match out of Yano, and it's always kind of a nice night off, sort of say, to wrestle Yano, because he's not going to give you those hard hitting matches. He's not going to drop you on his head like Naito and Ibushi and stuff like that. I mean, Jay White obviously is going to be fun. Jeff Cobb is a stellar wrestler with ties back here to the Bay Area. Nice to see him in the G1. And I mean, I think for me personally, Naito is my favorite to get out of the block entirely. I think he's going to win the entire thing. He is my pick to win the G1 Climax. I think if it's going to be between two people, I think it's going to be kind of down to the wire between Naito, Jay White, and Jon Moxley. I think Naito might. I'm not going to say run away with it, but I think he'll win by at least 2 or 3 points. I think. I mean, obviously, it's going to come down to the last match on the card. That's usually how it goes. And just kind of going to those last A block and B block matches, we have on August 10th, we have Okada going up against Ibushi, Tanahashi versus Will Osprey, Sonata versus Bad Luck Fale, Evil versus Lance Archer, Kenta versus Zack Sabre Jr. So just going off of that, I think that Okada Ibushi match is going to be the determiner. I don't even know if that's a word. Whoever wins that match, I believe, is going to be the winner of the A block. And maybe Tanahashi and Osprey, maybe that might have some some implications in there as well. But I don't think Okada is going to do it. I think Ibushi is going to win, and I think Ibushi is going to come out of the A block. I'm scared to see another Ibushi versus Naito match. But in the end, I think Naito is going to win. Story going into this is he wants to be the dual champion. He wants to be the IC champ and the heavyweight champ. He already has the IC title. I don't think he's going to lose it and then win it back or drop it until he goes to Wrestle Kingdom. And hopefully, we said this 2 years ago, this time we're going to see the crowning of Naito being the star of New Japan. Who exactly knows what's going to come out of that? But moving on to the final night of B block action, we get Tetsuya Naito going up against Jay White, Jon Moxley versus Juice Robinson, a rematch of the Super Juniors finale, Jeff Cobb and Toru Yano Hiroki Goto versus Shingo Takagi, and Tomohiro Ishii going up against Tai Chi. I mean, obviously, looking at that, the Naito versus Jay White is probably going to be the winner of the B block between those two guys, Jon Moxley and Juice Robinson. I think they're going to definitely keep Juice strong. I think he's going to have a much better showing than he had last year. I think he's going to definitely be in the upper half of the B block. Jeff Cobb, I think he's going to be there. He's almost kind of like in the evil realm where he's going to maybe get a big win or two. Maybe we can see Jeff Cobb pull off the upset against Naito. I don't think Naito's going to run the gauntlet. I think if he is to lose to somebody, I could see him lose to Jon Moxley just to kind of set that matchup down the line. I mean, maybe Shingo Takagi gets a big win. Probably. I mean, he's probably going to be kept strong, but because he's only lost one match and that was to Will Ospreay. But I think he's going to kind of be maybe a little bit over 500. I think Tai Chi, Toru Yano, obviously, and maybe Goto to an extent are going to be kind of those fall guys who are going to lose most of their matches. Ishii, I love Ishii. Don't really see him doing anything, but it's going to be a fun match, especially when you see Ishii versus Jon Moxley. Should be a fun little, maybe not hardcore, but definitely kind of a brawling, hard-hitting type match. That should be fun. The big name that everyone's kind of talking about that we wanted to see was Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki not in the G1. He's throwing a little bit of a hissy fit. He wants to be in the G1. Maybe he's a late addition. Maybe he just takes somebody out and he gets entered into the block, maybe Block B. I think it'd be fun to see Naito and Suzuki, Jon Moxley versus Suzuki, Cobb and Suzuki. I mean, all these guys, I think he definitely is a fit in that B block. But maybe that just shows that they're going to save that. Maybe it's going to be Moxley and Suzuki, who exactly knows, but I think they're going to save Moxley and Suzuki down the line, maybe at a Wrestle Kingdom match. I think that would be fun. So moving on, we have the first night of G1 Climax action. That's going to be taking place on July 6th in Dallas, Texas. And the news coming out of this is that Jon Moxley is not going to be wrestling on the show. It is only A block action in terms of G1 tournament matches. So we're going to get Kota Ibushi versus Kenta. It's going to be fantastic. Okada versus Tanahashi. Obviously, we've seen this match a billion times, but they can always have great matches. Will Ospreay versus Lance Archer. Should be good. Maybe surprise of the night. Evil versus Bad Luck Fale. Not going to hold my breath for anything special there. And then Sonata versus Zack Sabre Jr. basically all these matches except for the Fale Evil match. And even that match could be fun because there's going to be two big guys just kind of beating the hell out of each other. But I think this is definitely a solid opening round matchup for the Dallas crowd. As I said, no Jon Moxley on this show. Obviously the B block competitors are going to be in tag team action. And people might be saying, well, it's the A block. Why don't they just have the A and the B block? They have like a whole week off until their next set of matches. But I just think you have 10 G1 matches on one show. That is a lot. It's going to kill the crowd if you like sprinkle in A block and B block put together. If you just do the A block first and the B block. G1 matches are grueling. Yes, they have a half-hour time limit, but it's just boom, 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 boom. And if you're gonna have 10 of those matches, yes, some of them aren't gonna be as they'll be kind of short, kind of squash match-esque. But if you're gonna have Ibushi, Kenta, Okada, Tanahashi, and then you put in Naito versus what would be the first B block action? The main event. Honestly, there's nothing really that stands out for the first night of B block action. Maybe Jay White and Hiroki Goto would be a good match. Naito and Yano, that's just going to be comedy fluff. So, just looking at the first matches for the B block, nothing really stands out to me that you would want to put in front of that Dallas crowd. Maybe you could put them together, but I'm not going to throw a hissy fit about that. So, Jon Moxley not going to be on this show. Maybe it is related to AEW not wanting him wrestling for New Japan or wrestling in the United States for a major company. I think that is understandable. AEW obviously wanted to have some sort of partnership with New Japan, but New Japan declined. They went with ROH, and now ROH is just kind of treading water. Who knows what they're going to be looking like in the next year or two. I think AEW has a legitimate shot of overtaking ROH. It could be argued that they've already overtaken ROH as the second biggest company in America. Maybe Impact can stake that claim, but I think AEW is proving that New Japan should have partnered with them, and now that New Japan is asking for some cooperation between them and AEW. AEW has, I think, all rights if that's in Jon Moxley's contract that they can veto any appearance in the United States from New Japan. Is it petty? Probably, but it's within their right, and I'm not gonna unfollow AEW because they're doing this, and who even knows if that's the real reason why Jon Moxley is on the show. But I think having Jon Moxley being on this show definitely could have boosted up ticket sales. I haven't exactly checked lately, but I have seen that ticket sales aren't exactly flying off the shelves. But I think now that we've seen the full lineup, and we're gonna see, that Ibushi Kenta match, if Kenta lives up to the hype, he's going to be fully rested. That match should be absolutely insane. I think obviously the main event of that show is going to be Okada versus Tanahashi, two absolute legends. A match we've seen at Wrestle Kingdoms. We've seen them all over the place. We've seen them in G1 matches, Dominions. I don't even know. Wrestle Kingdoms, everything under the sun. But they're going to deliver once again. Tanahashi is beat up, so it's going to be fun to see. It's going to be interesting to see rather what he can produce in the G1. Going forward, a lot of the matches I kind of talked about. I think Naito, Ishii is going to be always going to deliver a great match. I think the one match I'm definitely looking forward to out of everyone is probably Moxley versus Naito out of the B block, and then out of the A block, I think that Osprey Okada match, just to see this, because it's like the perfect blend of in-ring and storytelling, with them being Chaos members, with both being champions. Osprey on the rise, Okada trying to hold his claim as the top guy in New Japan. Osprey wants to prove that the juniors can be just as good as the heavyweights. It's kind of a story they keep doing all the time. And if I'm going to pick one match to be the best match of the entire G1 tournament, besides the final, we don't exactly know what the final will be, but I'm going to say it's going to definitely come out of the A block. I know I'm going on a limb there, and I'm going to go with Osprey. I think Osprey is going to have the best match of the G1 Climax, and I think it's going to be against Okada. That Okada-Osprey match is going to be insane. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Stay tuned. I'm going to do my best to do weekly updates on the G1 with standings, matches you need to watch, matches you don't need to watch, and everything in between. Moving on, we have the NXT TV report from June 12th, not taking place in Full Sail, but taking place in Bel Air, Maryland. And announcers were Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness. No Beth Phoenix. She was on assignment, as they said. No explanation what she was doing. And I believe they were not, the announcers that is, was not shown on camera once throughout the entire show, which leads me to believe that this was dubbed over commentary from the Performance Center or Full Sail. We get the first match of the show, which is Candice LeRae and Io Shirai going up against Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir with NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler in the corner of her fellow four horsewomen. And this ends up being a no contest at 5 minutes and 47 seconds after Io goes after Baszler and attacks her, and it just kind of ends in one big schmaz. It was a fine match. Duke and Shafir definitely are clunky in there, definitely need a little bit more seasoning. I think it's the selling that is really something they need to work on. I think their offense, they have a good base of MMA training, so when they're on offense, they're good in terms of like the power moves. I think the strikes definitely need to work on, because you can kind of see that they're trying to protect the opponent, trying to pull their punches and stuff like that. They don't look crisp and clean, still a little clunky. I mean, they're fairly new in the wrestling business. I mean, I don't know, a year, maybe a little bit more than a year of them really being on the road and doing this kind of as a full-time gig. So I think Jessamyn Duke is probably the worst between the two, just because she's kind of lengthy. She is so much bigger in terms of height, and it kind of probably it hurts her a little bit in terms of her work rate, just because of her body size. But it's fine. I mean, she's both of these women are athletic. I think they're going to be fine. I think if we're in the same position a year from now, then I think it's time to worry. But just continuing on with the Io, Candice, Baszler feud, I think they're definitely going towards something. I believe maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. We have a post-match brawl as NXT cuts to a recap of Velveteen Dream defending the North American Championship against Tyler Breeze. Dream cuts a selfie promo. He kind of just talks in vague terms, nothing real important here. We get a recap of Drew Gulak and Kushida from 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago at this point, and we get another Damian Priest vignette, and he is advertised for this week. So next week I will be talking about Damian Priest, formerly known as Punishment Martinez, on his first week on NXT, and we get Kushida versus Drew Gulak in a submission match. And Kushida gets the victory in 11 minutes and 9 seconds. Kushida gets the hoverboard lock on Gulak for the quick tap-out victory. I mean, it was a good match, really good match. I thought it was a lot of fun here. I love submission wrestling, grappling and stuff. Definitely, I think a match to see. Not going to be, obviously, a match of the year candidate by any means, but just a good, solid TV match from here. Building up Kushida as a formidable opponent, just putting down all of his moves and letting people be familiar with him. After the match, Kushida claps and he offers Gulak a handshake. Gulak slaps the hand a little bit, jaws a little bit, and he walks away. And then he ends up shaking Kushida's hand in the end. So good sportsmanship here. But not exactly, a hug fest. They didn't, get all lovey-dovey with each other. They didn't do a curtain call. It was Gulak kind of acknowledging that Kushida's really good, but he was still kind of heelish, and I thought that was good. Maybe we get a tag team of them down the line. I think that could be fun, just because just adding some extra bodies into that tag team division, I think, is something that NXT definitely needs. Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah are talking outside in the parking lot about how great their day was. Bourne is upset that Mia Yim thinks that she is the number one contender for Shayna Baszler's title. Bourne and Aaliyah run her over. Bourne has something to help her with the Fashion Bible, English for Everyone, Grammar for Dummies, and they say she better get educated because they don't want to wrestle against trash. It was okay, I guess. I don't really know where this came from, for them just burying Mia Yim, and she has terrible English, apparently. I think it's just some foes for Mia to attack while this Io Baszler thing just wraps up. And I think Mia, if Io does not get the championship, I think Mia definitely is next in line for that title shot. Shayna Baszler is booked to face Io Shirai in a steel cage match in 2 weeks. It does not appear to be for the championship show, though. So just a straightforward, no title match, but it is going to be in a steel cage. So maybe Io gets her win there, but she doesn't get the title. Gonna have to stay tuned and find out about that. We get a recap of Mansoor winning the Super Showdown Battle Royal last week, or 2 weeks ago at this point, and the crowd going nuts for it. The post-match promo, everything. I mean, I said it. Honestly, one of the best, probably the best moment of that Super Showdown show. And going next up, we get the main event, which is Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch going up against Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong in a tag team match. They acknowledge that Bobby Fish has a hurt arm, so Roderick Strong stepping in and being Kyle O'Reilly's tag team partner. And Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch get the victory in 9 minutes and 43 seconds. Really good match. The ending sees as Jackson Riker comes out, and he comes out from the back. He fights through security for the distraction as O'Reilly is kind of jawing at Riker, and Burch rolls up O'Reilly to get the victory. So the babyfaces get the victory over the heels. The heels have obviously the excuse of why they lost. They keep the heels sort of strong here, get the babyfaces a win that I think they desperately needed. Still trying to build up Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch with the Street Profits being the tag team champions. Who knows where they're going to go from here with their first feud? I don't think that we could get a babyface matchup in the tag team division with Oney Lorcan and Burch. I don't think that's going to be the way they're going to go. I think maybe they're going to flesh out this Forgotten Sons storyline, maybe just finally have them beat them clean, and then we move on to Undisputed Era. Maybe Kushida and Gulak. Maybe we get another tag team down the line, but who exactly knows? I thought it was a fine match, really good match. I would say I liked the Kushida Gulak match a little bit better because it was a longer match, told a good story, and it had a clean finish. But I think all three matches had did their job in telling stories. It was kind of a placeholder match. Obviously, with this not taking place at Full Sail, it's almost kind of like the San Jose show that happened a few months ago. It's good. It has good wrestling on it. There's some promos and stuff backstage. Doesn't exactly push too many storylines, in high gear. They did set up the Io Shirai and Shayna Baszler match in a few weeks, and I think next week is going to be the first show from the TV tapings at Full Sail. Haven't seen any any spoilers for that show, so I don't exactly know what's going on, which is the way I like to keep it that way. And yeah, thank you all very much. That'll do it for me for today. Make sure if you have a question, I checked the email. It's still empty. UTRmailbag at gmail.com. That's UTR for Under the Radar. Mailbag at gmail.com. I'll link it in the description. Just click it, email it. You do whatever you want to do. Got an NXT question, G1 Climax question, New Japan, AEW, life question. Just send it my way, and I'll answer it. So next week, I am going to be doing another show and then after that, I'm going to be departing out of the country for a little summer vacation action, so make sure to tune in to the Bulletcast tomorrow on Wednesday, my last episode for a few weeks, and then, so until next time, thank y'all very much for bending your ear and let me talk to you about wrestling. Goodbye, and good night. Bye.